Alright, so I thought I'd take this moment to freestyle for a moment while I make a video for my practice channel, and kind of actually just wanted to really talk about a video that I'm making, or article that I want to submit to Johnny Candido for kind of getting exposure. And I think it would be a really good video to talk about, and it's really about the deadlift and how the deadlift is sort of kind of my experience so far, thus as far as possible to actually deadlift too fast. And if you're really strong, and I'm a fairly strong deadlifter, you can essentially overcome, or you can, how can I put this? You can make it so that your strength is so strong that it overshadows how bad your technique is. Because the way you're going to lift, or in my case, the way I'm lifting 3 plates or 315 pounds, it's not going to transfer over to 560 pounds, as I learned this week. You think everything is right, everything is great, but the truth of the matter is that if you're not allowing yourself to understand your positions to get the most out of the lift, you're leaving power on the table. And as I've sort of immersed myself into this whole deadlift thing and learning about powerlifting, all this stuff, I've been picking up on little things here and there, and I just kind of had one of those aha moments while I was editing a video today from my Sunday session. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I actually do editing, because even if my channel doesn't grow really large, or if I don't get as big as I want, or it goes really slow, at least I get something out of the process. And the thing that I'm getting out of this process right now with the deadlift is that when I was doing some speed deadlifts, 315 pounds on Sunday, which was the, let's take a look at the date here, 28th, I learned that I'm deadlifting too fast. So one of the things that when I deadlift and I test for a max, like let's say I'm going to lift 500 pounds or more for working sets, I always practice with 405, which is about 70% of my 1 repetition max. Now, keeping that in consideration, what I do with the 405 for doubles is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the right groove. And what that right groove is I'm essentially just trying to find the best way to get the most leverage out of the lift. And what's sort of interesting, what I'm noticing in my whole deadlifting process of learning and strength training, is that the way I'm moving, just because the bar moves really fast doesn't mean it's right. It's more that it has to feel easy more so than it is fast. And I don't know if that makes any sense, or I'm going to try to articulate it, which is kind of one of the biggest challenges in this video I'm trying to make, is trying to articulate this idea, is that a fast deadlift is great. Like if you can be explosive from the ground, you can accelerate it. But under a lot of circumstances, if you're lifting at 95%, 100%, or going for a PR, especially at my weight and the amount of the weight I'm lifting, what's going to happen is you can get thrown out of position, where if you're off by a little bit, it will throw you off. And there's a lot of error involved. What I've noticed, like with Johnny Candido, watching him lift, because he's a very strong athlete, he's also a lower weight class than me, is that his technique is very spot on. And kind of what I'm noticing with my lifting, after watching some videos, that my technique is really, really off. And it's sort of interesting actually, because the thing is that I'm moving too fast. Because I'm able to use my belt, I'm able to use my body weight, I'm able to kind of create a lot of pressure, that when I pass my knees, my shoulders are still over the bar. And but because I've picked up so much speed from the ground, what ends up happening is I'm able to lock out, 300 pounds like that, 400 pounds like that, no problem, right? Because my lower back, upper back is very strong. However, it's not ideal leverage for a weight that's in the 90s or 90 percentiles. Whereas for where I'm right now, I can get away with it. And it's not actually a bad technique. It's just more like, I don't know if this makes any sense, but kind of what I'm learning is that the way you lift 70 to 80% is sort of going to have a little bit different feel and error room when repetitions are being done, when you're going to lift 85, 90%. And God, this is what the toughest part about talking about this is, because I'm actually going to write after I make this video. I'm just trying to figure out how to explain this. And I don't know if anyone's watching this video, maybe you can actually comment below and share your experience, because there's a point when the bar passes my knees where it is absolutely perfect. I'll put a link in the description to one of my really best lifts, my PR, a lifetime PR 573 that I did in August over at the Boss Barbell meet in Mountain View, and it was perfect. I mean, the bar went above my knees perfectly, and I think I might be, well, I mean, I'm using a Texas barbell, Texas deadlift bar, so that has a lot more flex, a lot more give, so it puts me into a better position. So it does help quite a bit, because I don't really practice with that bar, so it's kind of hard to tell, because I don't lift with that bar very often other than in competition and maybe in the warm-up room. So it's kind of hard to tell how much of a difference it actually has on my deadlift. I know that it's different, because I know it does make a difference, but I guess kind of where I also want to kind of talk about, my point is that when that bar starts to travel past my knees at the right speed, and when I'm set up properly, my shoulders, my scapula I should say, the top of my scapula is starting to go behind the bar. When I deadlifted 535 earlier this week, man, that shit moves so slow. I mean, it was just really hard. And then I was actually, my goal for that day, this Tuesday, was actually to deadlift 565 for a double, just with a regular stiff bar, the Olympic bars that we have at the gym. And man, I didn't feel confident about it. And what I ended up doing was, if you check my Instagram, it's on there, is that I actually just decided to lift 565 off of like a 3-inch block or 3-inch plates to kind of give me some air room. But I missed the repetition. And then when I look back at that weight, if you're curious to take a look at my my Instagram, it's right in there, and you can kind of just, you know, take a look at it, have your opinion. And if you watch me, I get stuck, and I essentially give up too quickly, and that's what I'm sort of kind of mad about, because I should have grinded through that repetition, or at least gave it a second try. It's amazing, like when you're failing, when the bar starts to stop in the deadlift or any heavy movement, it really feels like time does slow down. It felt like that I was holding that bar a lot longer than what the video was. But I'm kind of getting a little bit off what I was talking about. But what I noticed, if you watch these videos, it might be hard to see with the Instagram quality. I'll have another video coming out fairly soon. Is that the knee, my left knee locks out, and again, I'll leave another link in the description of the 600-pound deadlift that I missed, and that left knee just locks out a little too soon, and essentially what happens is I lose leverage in the hip, and that knee locks out. Essentially, the hips rise too quickly, right? That's very common in the deadlift, but with where I'm at right now, they rise too quickly for a split second, because if you watch the other video on my Instagram again, when I actually pull off the 535 really well, you can see my body move back and forth. I'm going to highlight this in another video. And kind of what I don't know, I guess I wanted to share and articulate is that there's this sort of interesting way that you need to pull. Like I've heard Ernie Littlebridge talk about this. Eric, Eric the Littlebridges, the Strongest Family, big guys, right? And he talked, and I heard him on a podcast with Mark Bell talking about how the bar needs to accelerate. And I've kind of been thinking about this a lot, and it's not that the bar has, if the bar does have to accelerate, which means you don't necessarily, especially for max, mainly for max lift, is you don't want to accelerate the bar as fast as you possibly can off the ground. So I'll repeat that. You don't want to accelerate the bar as fast as you can. I mean, you don't want to pull the bar, because what you really want is you want a gradual acceleration. That way your hips can keep up with the way the bar path is, or the way that way your hips can keep up with the way the bar is moving. So anyways, I don't know if that makes any sense. I just know that when I lifted that 573, it felt ridiculously light. And then when I lifted 535, I mean that's like 40 pounds difference, you know, than what I lifted at the meet. And I'm also heavier body weight. I'm 206. You know, I didn't do any weight cut. It's just like, I don't understand it. It just shows that there's just a lot more room for me to grow, and there's a lot more depth of knowledge that I'm missing, and depth of technique that I know that I can kind of build, because I know that 6 months down the road, I know I'll be able to, you know, pull that 535 a little bit easier and get more repetitions out of it. But I know that there's room for me to kind of figure out what it is that I'm missing. So anyways, those are some thoughts. This video is actually going to go on my practice channel, but I think it's good enough to place on my regular channel. So I'll share it. And comment below if you have a question, if you want to share your kind of experience with the deadlift and kind of what I'm talking about, if you do understand what I'm talking about, if you made it this far. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.